For many businesses, getting found on Google isn't optional, it's mission critical for growth. Sean Boyle's joining us to break down how to set up your profile, how to avoid suspension, and how to quickly recover if Google flags your profile.
A lot of these businesses, a huge majority of the revenue they're generating and then the actual income that the business owner is taking home is from that Google profile. So the unfortunate thing is a lot of these businesses are being completely suspended for no apparent reason. Is it fair? No, I think it's bullshit, to be honest with you. I mean, people are losing their businesses over this. If you're not in the map pack top 3 businesses in that location, you're toast. You're not going to be able to be found and people are going to win other than you. If you have the Google profile and you build it up, you're going to be pretty deadly. You're going to be able to actually get a lot of business from that. Proactivity and consistency is probably the best thing that you can do for your company.
Hello, today's guest is Sean Boyle, who's the owner of multiple companies, including Momentum Digital and Momentum 360. He's a powerhouse in digital marketing here today to teach us about something funky that's been going on, which is Google profiles getting flagged, getting in trouble. I don't know if I even said the right way that what's happening, but suspensions, that's what it is. Google suspensions. So we're going to talk about something that every small, medium, large business needs to be paying attention to if you want to get found on the internet. So welcome, Sean.
Oh, Chelsea, thank you so much. Powerhouse. Wow, that's quite a
Right.
compliment.
Yeah, there you
Appreciate that.
go. We're recording on a Friday, so we like to hype ourselves up on
Of
Fridays.
course, yeah.
Right? So you run multiple companies. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you got into digital marketing.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, it really all started to kind of get right into it when my father went to prison back when I was in high school. So typical senior in high school, living the dream, ready to move on to college. And what's funny is my dad owned a bar at the time, and I was ready for this like huge celebration with all my friends, all my family, all this stuff. And then my dad, who's I don't think you're ever going to meet him, but just total charismatic person, like couldn't be funnier, just like total type A, just a great guy. And he called me, and it was actually one of the most ominous conversations Chelsea I've ever had. He's essentially like, "Hey, there's not going to be any party. There's not going to be anything really going on. I'm going to be getting indicted by the federal government, or I have been indicted." And that started about a 6-month process, I would say, of him gathering lawyers, defending himself. Turns out his own brother actually testified against him in court, and he actually got, I think it actually turned out to be it was like 4.5 years. I think it was like 60 months, but then he got it down to like 4.5 years. So he was in a canary cage for a long time. And then I essentially, out of kind of desperation for myself, needed to just do something. I was an engineering major. I didn't like the classes. I was good at the classes, but I just didn't like nothing against engineers, but I just didn't like the people I was with. So essentially just had to create something out of nothing, and just, met my business partner, Mac, who is now my business partner for about 5 years. And yeah, we've just really been growing out of nothing. I had my own podcast at the time. I was trying a lot of different things. So it was freaking nuts. It was a lot all at once. But, Chelsea, looking back on it now, I think it was one of the most pivotal, if not the pivotal times in my life that I can look back on and say, thank God for that, because I was able to grow myself and, just have a lot of good things come out of nothing.
That's a nice positive spin.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried to.
Did you switch what you were studying to?
I did. I was doing this very, nerdy kind of degree called electromechanical engineering technology, EMET. Yeah, as they say. And I switched it to advertising and marketing. So that was more up my alley, you could say.
Had you just watched Mad Men? You're like, actually, that looks more fun.
I was like, can I be John Hamm for a career? Let's do this. Exactly right.
Before we move on, what does EMET do? Do they make little devices, or what does someone with EMET do as a job?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. No, it was pretty much like we would handle like mechanical devices, then put like an electrical spin on them. So think if you are like in NASA, or if you're in like SpaceX per se, you're working on rockets and you're working on all these different things. Just really utilizing that. I think, my first love was like technology and, aerodynamics and stuff. So that's, I would say, for rockets, that's pretty much what I was gearing up to be working on, spaceships and whatnot. So
Well, now you understand it really deeply, so you could do marketing and advertising for rockets and
I've been knocking on
doodads.
Elon's door. Listen, I've been a big contributor to him, but I don't know. I'm about to go out and get a Tesla. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
All
But
right.
no replies so far, though. No replies.
I had an episode earlier this week where someone was posting Theo Vaughn every single day. "Hey, I'm gonna post you until you join me on my podcast." I was like, "Hey." People used to, like, Venmo who is it? Ben, the Boston kid. I can't think of his name.
I know what you're talking about. I forget his name off the top of my head as well. But yeah,
Yeah, they'd
got to
Venmo
do what
him,
you got
like,
to
a
do.
penny a day.
Yeah,
All right, so rockets, advertising, here we are, and now you're running a digital marketing firm, and you've got something to tell us about what's going on with Google profiles. So,
yeah.
say I Google, "Hey, pizza shop," or "software to do XYZ." Sometimes whatever I Google, there's stuff on the side that comes up that are the businesses that I'm finding. Is that the Google profile or is that something else?
No, that's exactly right. That's probably the best analogy you could have made. So it's essentially like, using your example, pizza shop near me, if you're in Philadelphia or New York City. It's one of those things, Chelsea, where a huge majority of the revenue they're generating and then the actual income that the business owner is taking home is from that Google profile. So the unfortunate thing is a lot of these businesses are being completely suspended for no apparent reason. To tell your audience and you, back in 2015, Google essentially disbanded the whole like call system. You can't call them anymore on the phone. And it's only email now, which is very frustrating. And as you can imagine, the reason why they did that is because they're not making any money. Google isn't making any revenue off of like the Google business profile for the most part. Why do they have support people with Google ads? Well, I mean, they're making billions of dollars every single day off of it. So it's tough, but we actually have a really good system where we're actually to reinstate these Google profiles in a pretty quick time period, quick meaning about 2 to 6 weeks on average, if you can call it that. Normally it's about 2 to 6 months. So we're just trying to put people in business. People, unfortunately, they're not able to put a roof over their heads. They're not able to put clothes on their families' backs, food on the table. It's pretty serious. So it's a you know, epidemic of sorts in the digital marketing space.
If we start with folks who don't have a Google profile, because I don't have one for the growth department, like,
Yeah,
why should someone even consider that? And who should
it's
have one?
yeah, great question. For a service business and even a company like for yours, Chelsea, it's imperative because if you're Googling said service plus location, you're going to be able to rank at the top of Google. If I was actually able to share my screen, I can show you, but it's pretty much you're able to rank high online so people can find you easier, thus calling you without even needing to really spend money on ads or anything, website SEO. If you have the Google profile and you build it up, you're going to be pretty deadly. You're going to be able to actually get a lot of business from that.
Okay, and there's a lot of, like, clicks in there. So my nail salon, don't they look nice?
Beautiful. Yeah.
T-Nails in Pineville, North Carolina. They're great, but I click to call them. I should just save their number. I Google T-Nails Pineville, and I click right in the Google every time.
Yeah.
That's how I talk to them and find out appointments, so and I go to their website from there. So, I guess you could do a bunch on your profile.
You can do so much stuff, and it's like you think of any type of business ever. Like I'm going to be getting my haircut soon, and actually, unfortunately, my barber retired, so I got to go through the whole process now of like who cuts a good fade in Philadelphia. Not a lot of people can do it without me making myself look like alfalfa. So I got to do that. But it's like people are searching so many times on a day to day basis. So the profile really is imperative for a service based business, brick and mortar business, stuff like that, even for digital marketing companies and a lot of other businesses as well. People are like, oh, why do we need a business profile if we don't have like a direct come out, do a service type business? It just looks good for SEO. So it would be silly to not have that, I would argue.
Okay, so everybody, including me, homework for the week, figure out how to get your business profile set up. Is there anything we're doing when we set them up that could cause us to get flagged or suspended? Like, is the setup where this is happening?
Great question. So Essentially, to create a profile first, here's what you do. You go to business.google.com, you log in through your Gmail account if you're not already created or set up on that. And then you put your business name, your category, blah, 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 all that stuff. Now, here's the key thing that a lot of people just don't do is a majority of these online and even service-based businesses, what do they do post-COVID? They work from home, right? So what they actually do is they put their residential address in as the quote unquote business address. Technically, that is correct. Like legally, you're allowed to do that. However, in the eyes of Google, they don't allow you now to use a residential address. So it now becomes okay, well, are you going to be able to use a commercial address? Do you need to get like a WeWork type of address, or do you even need to put an address on there at all? So it really depends, Chelsea, on the type of business that we're talking about. But the I would say about 90% of the problems I see are from the misusing that address initially and then Google catching it on the back end and flagging it. To give you an example, Momentum 360, we do a lot of photos and videos and virtual tours. When I first started off, we had about 50 Google business profiles across the United States, right? Those addresses were from a photographer's residential address. So I actually got banned. This is how we're so good at this service now. All 50 were completely wiped out in a single day. No one could find us other than the website. I thought the business was going to go to trash. I had to sell it. Like it was this whole thing. Fortunately, we were able to figure it out, but it's a total crapshoot. I mean, there requires a whole audit of the actual profile to definitively say this is what we need to do because every case is just so different.
The last time that I did set up one was for a tech company, and we had just moved physical we got acquired, so our physical address moved to some place. It was a PO box, and it said, "We'll send you a postcard." Do they still do that with after they set up your account, Google is they, sends you a physical postcard to the address to make sure you're real?
They are cutting that out, which is unfortunate because even though I would like to think it's like a pretty outdated process, like sending a physical, code and, whole thing, it actually does work very well. Now, what ends up happening is people need to take their phones and make a verification video, and that's where it gets very hairy because the video, like, it's not like you can make the video, save it, and then edit it. Like, you have to do it live. So we're seeing so many people just they don't know how to make the video. They don't share the right documents. They don't even have the right documents. So sometimes making that video opens up a can of worms that the business owner just didn't make this document when they first started the business. They didn't do that, didn't do this. So there's a certain level of patience that we need to have when, we're trying to verify this type of business because it is a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, you're 100% right.
But if you don't do these steps and you don't set up a profile, then you other than your website, you don't really exist.
You don't. You don't.
Okay.
And it's, to the point where again, if you're typing in, let's just say like a plumber near me, right? If you're not in the map pack, the snack pack, call it, top three businesses in that location, you're toast. You're not going to be able to be found and people are going to win other
Yeah.
than you. So it's, yeah, 100%.
So, what are some steps that we could take to reinstate if our accounts do get suspended?
Yeah. Well, the good news is anyone can do these steps, which is great. So it's not like you need to have like a marketing company like mine, like a digital marketing genie or whatever. Anyone can do this. So what you want to do is you want to go to the business.google.com website where your profile is. You will see very red arrows and whatnot. Your profile has been suspended. Here's what you do. So you can actually go to Chelsea. It's just a quick button where it says learn more. And then what happens is that people will go to there's three things someone can do. The first thing is file an appeal. So what will happen is there's a long whole checklist of get this document, get that document, blah, 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 all this stuff, send it over to them in a PDF, whatever. And then there's a certain review process that takes, and again, they're so bogged down with cases. I can't even give you right now like a timeline on when people can get back to you on this, but it's anywhere from, I would say, 1 to 3 months to be safe, which is like, that's a long time, which is crazy. I just saw your eyes pop out here.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
crazy.
like,
Uh,
wow.
uh, yeah, it's like a business for the most part can't even survive after that. So it is what it is. But that's the first step. The second step is you can actually send Google a follow up email on their support forum, which is kind of helpful here and there. So you can go and do that. It's literally just under the appeal section. You can hit a button and send them an email, give them the case number for the appeal, and you can follow up that way. The third way is there's a community forum, which yeah, I'll argue is sometimes helpful, sometimes not helpful. But if you do put a lot of information in your post, where I think you have like 10,000 characters to play with, if you max that out, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of verbiage there.
Could write a little book there.
You really could, honestly. If you put your documents in there, you max out the 10,000 characters. For the most part, you actually do get a Google employee. They look all like, they're from America, whatever. They're probably from India or Pakistan, let's be honest. But regardless, they are helpful and they do point you in the right direction. And they do get back to you on the case and say, hey, we're going to escalate it. And it's a long waiting process. So those are really the three steps. A bonus step that you can take is they actually have released this new chatbot through AI where you can essentially talk to somebody, through AI and get connected that way. So that's something that's in beta. I don't know when they're going to like actually fully launch it, but those are multiple steps someone can take to actually reinstate a business profile.
Have you seen any patterns in what's triggering a suspension, or is it kind of up in the air?
I mean, there's certain types of businesses I will say that are for the most part like blacklisted. Those business types are residential cleaning businesses, garage door companies, and locksmiths. Those three businesses are kind of like Google's bugaboo for whatever reason. Residential cleaning business, obviously, they use like their residential address. Garage door companies, locksmith, especially locksmiths, like that's kind of, I'm not saying it's like an unethical type of service, but you know, at least in Philadelphia, I've seen some businesses unfortunately be used as a front for a locksmith business. So I don't know. Google just for whatever reason flags it. But other than that, like the business type, there's certain things like an address that might be a little faulty. If, for instance, you have a pizza shop, let's say, and you go to make an update on the business profile and you change way too much information at a time, like you change your name of the business, maybe your hours of operation, your phone number, all at once, Google is going to be like, wow, like this business is changing so much information, this is a complete red flag, right?
Mm.
And then one last thing that I'll say is when you do make an update or post on the Google business profile, and this is like totally just wrong in my opinion. I don't think it's right that Google does this, but they do. Is if you put your contact information for the business inside of a post. So using the pizza example, let's just say, 50% off all July, right? Here's our number, 215, blah, 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 blah. If you put your phone number in a post or an email or whatever, that could get triggered as a spam post and then you can get suspended, which is crazy because it's like you're promoting your own business. Like you should be able to do that. It's so just convoluted and just wrong in my opinion. But those are really the main trigger points to look out for, I would say.
Okay, so everyone needs a Google profile. I'm going to be doing this homework this weekend. If you make one, make sure you're not using your home address. Get a
Yeah.
PO box, or like I have a iPostal. There are a bunch of websites now that your mail goes to a physical place. They open it, they scan it and send it to you.
Yeah.
But it's a real address. It's not a PO box. So you can do things that PO boxes can't. Co-working places give you mailboxes, same thing where you can open. Okay, so make a profile, make sure you have a real address, and then if you are making edits, don't make too many at once because you'll get flagged. And then don't put your numbers and your emails into posts in your Google profile.
Yeah. That's
Correct?
right.
Okay, those are 4 actionable things. I can do those 4 things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very doable. It's just, is it fair? No, I think it's bullshit to be honest with you. I don't even think we can curse on here, but it's just
Oh, yeah.
it's crazy. It's literally it's fucking nuts. I mean, people are losing their businesses over this just because you can't put like your phone number or your email. Like I just for the life of me, I don't understand it, but it is what it is.
If you think of the nail salon, or I'll use the nail salon. or a house cleaning company. If you get 20 new customers a month from your Google profile, because you're not doing ads, you're not doing anything, you rely on showing up on the map, then this is a huge kick in the nuts
Oh yeah.
or the girl bits if you can't if you can't show up on the map or you're not there anymore. That is a huge problem. So if we've got our Google profile, do you have any advice for another big hot topic that's been coming up all over my feed lately is what's the future of search with all of these AI searches and in social app searches? Like TikTok is the new search or in Instagram is the new search. How does that change the landscape of SEO?
It's just gonna be more in your face, like, what Google and all these search engines wanna do, and even, some of the social media ones as well, is they wanna give the searcher the best answer possible, the most efficient answer possible. So, that's why you see, and I'm sure everyone does, when you Google something now, you get a little blurb of, like, AI at the top, and then you get all the search engines. So, essentially what ChatGPT, or I think Gemini, that's like the name of Google's thing, is Gemini or whatever. I could be wrong, but they essentially are taking all of these searches now and putting them at the top for what their AI thinks is the best. So that's essentially what's going to happen across the algorithm. AI is going to now do the job of essentially us as the consumer and say, hey, for all these searches and all this data, this is what we think is the best thing. To give you an example, I was just Googling like the best places to go for Christmas season in Europe in regards to like a city. I'm probably going to take my dad and brother out to Vienna, Austria. And it's like, they give you all these different like places and whatnot based on like thousands and upon thousands, if not millions of searches. So there's so much data that goes into it. And then another layer is voice, right? So it's like you'll be able to actually, have voice searches. And it's going to be a very, very similar thing, I would say, but it's only going to be more in your face, and AI is only going to be more integrated with all of these searches as time goes on.
When you're searching for this, take your marketer hat off and put your like guy searching for stuff hat. When you're searching for this vacation, do you like having these curated results at the top from AI or do you prefer the old way?
Um, it's a great question. I mean, I'm living in my best life right now. I came back from Europe last week. Actually, we were in like Nice, went to Monaco, in Italy, went to Paris. And when I booked the trip initially, it
My
was
face
like,
is like, "Oh."
yeah, yeah, couldn't be more jealous. But it's like I used AI a little bit now that I'm thinking about it to like see, oh, well, like what's the best flight to go from this to this? This that. So in terms of like connecting the dots a little bit, I did think it was better. But there are some weird things like I was trying to Google, like, we were going to go to the Vatican, right? And it's like, what's the best travel company? Should I do it through like Airbnb experiences or should I do it through this like authentic Italian thing? And I don't know if Airbnb like pays AI to like get a higher ranking, but they were like, oh, Airbnb is the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I actually would genuinely want to have like a nice Italian, like a very authentic, like Italian man or woman walk through the entire place. Even though it's kind of the same thing with Airbnb, I just feel like it's more authentic to just do it the old school way. You know what I mean? So it's a little mix and match. I mean, listen, I'm the kind of person when I'm not running my companies, I'm like I don't want to say I'm like a mute and I'm like totally remote, but I like to kind of disconnect myself. And I feel like as time goes on, we're only going to get more into the technology of it. So I don't know, but I don't know if I answer your question there, but that's kind of how I think. I would say.
Yeah, you did. It was helpful. I feel like mixed because when I see the answers on a Google search and they're the AI answers, I click the little link button next to it to see where the sources are coming from. Because
Mm,
if it's a crap website, I'm like, why did you pick this? I don't know why this was selected to
yeah,
be the top answer. So that kind of throws me off. But I do like that first thing you're seeing isn't a sponsored link. I like that
sure,
that's lower. I'm sure that people paying for ads don't like that. But as a searcher, I want to see the quote real answers first.
yeah, that's a good perspective to have too. And it opens up another interesting topic as well of like AI SEO. It's like, okay, well, how can you actually hack AI in a sense to rank higher And that's what, we're trying to do here internally and then like offer it as a service.
Yes. This is a whole course you could teach people is
Yeah,
how to
really
do
could.
that. And with all of the changes that happen across different social platforms and across search and across AI, how does your team keep up with the constant changes?
And truth be told, we try to do the best job we can. I mean, things slip through the cracks. I would say, at least for me, and I think it kind of trickles down to my team, is like I am so curious of like what's going on with technology, and just innately what I do is I like to share different news outlets that are kind of unbiased of like just, hey, here's how this new update is impacting Meta or Google or whatever, right? So I think naturally it just kind of trickles down to the team of they see how curious like leadership is, and then they're innately curious to want to be better and just for their own personal lives as well. I mean, it's interesting too because we actually let go one of our top people last week, and it got to a point where he just completely lost that student educational mentality. And I really think not just in business but in life, if you lose that sense of curiosity, like I never want to grow up. Like I just turned 28 years old. Like I'm still a kid, but I never want to grow up. I never want to have a job. I never want to like have responsibilities. Although like I do have a lot of them, and I'm very much grown up for the average 28-year-old. I always want to keep that like silly, fun, playful, curious type of persona to me because that's how you stay alive. That's how you stay real. That's how you just learn more. And I think as, time goes on, keeping that is going to be more of a skill actually rather than like an actual choice because people are going to be so like just tuned out. There's going to be so much like information and we're not going to be able to like keep that level of creativity. So, yeah.
Well, that's inspiring. I love learning. That's one reason I started this is so that I could meet cool people and learn from them, and so that other people who are curious and like continuing to learn can come in, pick up what they need, and go about their days instead of there are people who go to their job and clock in and clock out, and that's it. I like continuing to learn new skills and things, and sounds like you do too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that a small business should be considering in terms of their Google profile, in terms of SEO, as they're looking ahead to finish out this year strong?
Yeah, great, good question. I would say probably the best thing someone can do, the single thing someone can do on their Google profile to not just like get higher rankings and look better, but to actually like get more customers is just get better reviews. I feel like so many people, you would be amazed at Chelsea, all the business owners I talk to that are like pretty much scared to ask reviews from their clients. It's like you do a good job, you have a good business, you should ask for reviews, you should ask for feedback. And I don't know if it's like something that innately they're like kind of hesitant, but it's like, listen, like they paid your invoice, like they want your services, like they're gonna actually be kind of flattered that you asked them to leave a review. So I think so many business owners, they need to get more reviews for their company. The more reviews, the higher rankings, the more rankings they have, the more calls and the more leads and revenue they're going to get. It's really as simple as that.
I wonder if one day too, those top searches, not even in the map, will show that little link will go to the one that has the most reviews. It'll
Yeah.
take them to your website. My plumber does a great job of this, or my AC people. When they come, they leave. I get a text that says, "How do we do? Rank, leave us a Google review." Is that hard to set up, or how do companies get that going?
Oh, it's so easy. I mean, I like to do it on a manual approach just because I just for me it's a little bit more like personal, but there's other ways to do it. Like there's a company called Bird Eye. There's a company called Gather Up that we actually just started using, which is fantastic. I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not going to give you a promo code, but I will if I do get one. And that's great. I mean, it's really really solid and it's really easy to set up as well. You essentially just have to push a couple buttons, or they can set it up for you. I think it costs like $10 a month to set up. So if you're someone who wants to just have it be automated, what have you, you can totally do it.
I feel like you've given me a lot of things that I can and do, leave and do. I'm probably gonna need to pause as I edit this to do the do the things, but this has been great. If you had one takeaway for small to medium business owners who are watching this or listening to this, what would you hope that they learned here?
I would hope that they learned that proactivity and consistency is probably the best thing that you can do for your company. I think people are smarter than they give themselves credit for. And I think that they innately know what they need to do to grow the business, but maybe they had a rough day, maybe they had no sleep, maybe they need to eat something. And it's like, you want to, at the end of the day, it's going to sound kind of harsh, but it's just kind of how I think. You need to let go of how you feel and do ultimately what needs to take place for the business. And I think so many people, they are a little too emotional in business, and they don't focus on the innate things that they just know they need to do to grow the company. They just don't do that. So, I like to think when I hop on these shows, I give a lot of actionable tips that are very easy to do to just knock it out and grow the business. And hopefully they can kind of adopt that mentality as time goes on. So, yeah.
If someone's looking like, "Okay, I need to do these things," but they don't want to. Is
Yeah.
that where they could call you in or call someone like you in to come help do the things, and they're just there to give you the info that you need?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm one of these people, Chelsea, where I can give my contact info in a second, but I'm not going to charge anybody who's on this podcast. Like, I want to, if we want to hop on like an hour Google Meet, let's do it. Like, I can help you give, some actionable tips, stuff like that. It's one of those things I want to try to offer as much value as possible to, build a good relationship with, that certain person. I don't look at them as a dollar sign. I look at them as a human being with a heart. And, I'm a business owner as well, so I get it. And if I can help them out with something very small in their business, that gives me actually a lot of joy. So, yeah, anyone who wants help, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. We'll put your links down in the description as well so people can find you on the internet all over the place and reach out with questions or just to say hi.
Beautiful. I love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing the wisdom with us. I know what to do. I hope everyone listening knows what to do and we now go out and actually do the fucking thing.
I love it. Cheers, Chelsea.